How do you think stunt riding helped our relationship? I think it literally made it.
It did.
It literally made our relationship.
It built our relationship.
Welcome to Get Vertical Real Talk. I'm your host, Drea, and today's episode, I get to sit down with my husband, Samoan Bruce. We get a little emotional at times, talking about how stunt riding has actually helped our relationship and made it so amazing. We also talk about how he balances his life as a father, stunt rider, and an amazing husband. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Super excited to have you tied down finally. Super hard, man, to have you sit down and take a minute to talk about things.
Thanks for having me.
I really want to dive in deep with you.
Okay.
Ask you some uncomfortable questions and get to know you a little bit more than I already know. What was the first thing that actually triggered and inspired you to start stunt riding? Was there a moment in time?
I would say probably when we went to RSC. Is that what it's called?
RMC.
RMC. And we saw Hollywood B doing a stunt show, or he might have been practicing or whatever, but just seeing him do all those stunts, I was just amazed. I think at that point, I was just like, wow, that's cool. Like, you know, coming from almost like a brother, like knowing he's like Samoan, I don't know, like it kind of put it in perspective, like, man, I could do that too, you know? Like, it's weird to think, you know, like it had to take the same race to realize that, but I think just watching him and then seeing what he had at the time, he had a Chevelle and a bunch of stuff. Like he'd pull up with his bike in the back of the Chevelle, so like it was a huge inspiration just like seeing that, you know what I mean? So I think it was at that point I kind of was like, man, that would be cool, you know. I never really thought it would lead to where I'm at now. You know, it was just kind of like, whoa, that's freaking cool, you know?
Can you talk about the transition from that moment when you saw basically someone that you identified with and he became someone that basically told you, hey, I'm a real person and you can do this too? From that moment to the moment where you said, I'm actually going to take the first step and get a bike to stunt. Like, what was the transition in your own words?
I think it was from that point and actually like talking to them and realizing they're just normal people and they were actually communicating back. You know, I was kind of like starstruck. I was like, oh, he's talking back to me, you know, like, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but like, you know, they were talking to me like we were friends, you know. So to me, I kind of took that and was like, damn, like that was super cool, you know. I think after that, I kind of started hanging out with a bunch of guys that were stunt riding and doing a lot more of the street stuff. So I slowly learned a lot from those guys, and I was just didn't really know where to go to figure out like setup and stuff like that. So I think from my friends that weren't really like doing shows and stuff like that, I slowly progressed my way into a parking lot, you know, because I went from riding just streets, doing 80, 90 mile per hour wheelies, you know, to the slow stuff in the lot. So I think from that point, it triggered something in my head like, hey, I want to do this a little more professionally, but I didn't really know how to get into it. So I think in a way, it kind of worked out because I started hanging out with some of the guys that were doing stunts on the streets, and nobody really knew how to like, I mean, there's a few guys that knew how to slow down and whatnot, but like they knew how to set up their bikes. They did a lot of research and stuff like that. So I think just knowing those guys and getting help from them helped me out a lot because at the time there wasn't really ways to figure out how to set up a stunt bike. It was just kind of like, I think No, it wasn't even a YouTube. I think it was all on Stunt Ride. It was like a page.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
Like
a lot
blog.
of exactly. A lot of the guys would go on there and message.
Forums.
Yeah, it was forums. It wasn't YouTube. It wasn't.
Mhm.
So like YouTube wasn't even a thing back
kinda
in
was,
2000. Yeah, I think it might have just started, but I never really thought about going on YouTube and figuring it out. But those guys did a lot of research on Stunt Ride and got a bunch of information and helped me set up my bike big time. Like, I didn't even have a dented tank. We put a handbrake bracket, a scrape plate, didn't know how to do any scrapes, none of that. Put a cage on there. I think it was like Sick Intervention or something like that. It was
Sick Innovation.
Innovation, yeah. That was my first crash bar on the bike. And then I flipped the triple trees or the handlebars. And then, just did a bunch of mods that were basically almost free and cheap. I think I spent probably like $600 on all my stunt parts, and I got it from you. I didn't really have money at the time, so I think at the time $600 was a lot,
I remember that day. I remember when you came up to me and you said, "Babe, I know you." I did a challenge where I saved I was a server, and I saved every $5 bill I got, and I would ask for fives at the end of the night so that I would stuff it in my stuffed animal to save it. And I finally reached 500, I think, in like a month. It took me, I got $500 saved in 1 month. And he was like, "Can I borrow that?" I want to buy a handbrake set up for my bike.
It wasn't just a handbrake. I think I got everything for like $600.
Really?
Yeah, everything that I had on my bike, I think it was like.
Well, I remember being pissed.
Yeah,
I was kind of pissed. I was like,
yeah,
you
were
kidding me?
because, I was like all your savings at the same time. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't really know how I was gonna go about getting the bike set up, but at the time, I don't think you were really into the stunt riding thing. Like you liked it, but you weren't setting up your bike. You were kind of just like, I like my bike.
wasn't committed yet.
Yeah, I think because your bike was dialed. I think you had an R6 with pink cages.
I think I was at that point. It was the point where I was like, "Are you even really gonna do this? Like,
well, I think
or are you just buying?"
You set up your bike pretty good for stunt riding, and
mine had a cage in.
Yeah, it was a clean build, and it wasn't to intentionally learn how to stunt ride, but I think that was a good start, But I don't know.
Well, can you tell me about the transition? Like you said, the guys that kind of helped you get on your feet with stunt riding were doing street stuff, and then you kind of moved towards more professional stunt riding. And there was a time, we'll name drop a little bit, you were with the Bomb Squad riders, and they were the street guys, and then WCC asked you to join, and that was kind of when there was a transition from kind of a street hooligan to a professional stunt rider, where you're getting paid and you're getting more exposure professionally, and now you start picking up sponsors.
Well, I think, it was good that I met those guys, because honestly, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now without them, because it has to take little steps at a time to kind of get to where you can't just come from being the street guy to just straight professional stunt rider. It just doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? So I think meeting those guys was a blessing. I think just transitioning slowly into it made it almost like fun, because you were learning with a bunch of guys. So like,
hey, what's up, guys? I hope you're enjoying the episode. Real quick plug, I want to invite you guys to our online wheelie coaching course. This is exclusively made for Harley riders. We created a 3-stage progression method that is guaranteed to teach you how to wheelie. This is for day one learning riders. It's broken down from day one all the way to balance point. With this course, you get our exclusive members only Get Vertical app that makes it easier to access while you're at the lot practicing. You also get to join our Facebook community where we have a group experts in there all ready to help and other Harley Stunt riders learning from each other. You'll also get invited with online group coaching with Bruce and I, where you can ask us direct questions about your progress and any struggles you're having. You can sign up at getverticalcoaching.com. Link will be in the description. Anyways, back to the show.
It was cool because, I had, Reed, Vic, and Ratch the whole time, and we were all just kind of like all figuring out at the same time. We all went to the lot together,
pushed each other,
towed our bikes, thinking we're like fucking, cool because we loaded up our bikes and took it to the lot, instead of riding them. But it was some good times. We all, slowly got serious into it. We all, Reed got a van. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like at the time I couldn't afford a van. I just used the truck that I had at the time. So, meeting them at the lot every day and then progressing and then pushing each other was huge. Just having those group of guys to learn and progress with was like probably one of my favorite parts of learning, because just thinking back, like when, I would do something, they'd be like, oh, what the fuck, and it was cool because we all came from the streets and and I think when everything switched over for me was when we first got our first sponsor, and it was Crown Clothing. And I was like, oh, what?
Oh, it was a team sponsor.
At the time, yeah, I was like, what do you mean? Like, they're just gonna send us like free stuff? And I was like, and they're like, yeah, what size are you? I was super pumped because you don't just get free shit for riding. At the time we weren't that good at riding, so I was like, in my head, I was like, man, this is getting pretty serious, And I think at a certain point, our riding, some of the guys started falling off. They had stuff to do, so it's like, and I continued on with my journey, and I would slowly start seeing guys here and there just drop off, and I think it's because I picked it up pretty quick and had a lot of fun doing it and kind of forgot about everything else. You know what I mean? Like every time I got on the bike, I kind of just shut off everything, didn't really think about work, anything else. It was just kind of straight to having fun. You know what I mean?
So how did having a girlfriend that stunt rode also impact your progression?
I think it was huge. It was hard at the same time, but it was nice because I didn't have the complaints about when are you coming home or why are you always riding, you know what I mean? So I think it was cool because you always came to a lot with me, so you knew where I was and what I was doing. So without you there, you don't really understand, you know what I mean? Like, so even if you came to a lot and you were practicing or just sitting there, you kind of see what I'm doing, you know what I mean? And without you actually doing it, time would be really slow for you because I think with you being there and actually learning with me, it made it easier because you're having fun too. Not every day, but you were having fun trying to learn something new. You know what I mean?
What was that like for you to be coaching me and dealing with the female emotions?
I think, honestly, let's take this back from when we first started, because when I think I seen something in you at one point when we rode together, and this was before like I think we even seen anyone do a stunt, and it was kind of cool because I was like, damn, she's about it, you know what I mean? So like we were riding, we used to cruise around all the time, so we used to just ride and go 100 miles per hour together and do crazy shit that 20-year-olds do. And so we were just cruising down this road, and I don't know where she thought it was okay to just like lay flat on her tank and like do a Superman. I was like, what the? I looked over and she's just like doing a Superman on her. But I'm like, what are you doing? Like, that's fucking cool, but what are you doing? You know, and it was just funny because like as soon as she was done with the Superman, super sketchy, like the bike was just shaking. I was like, oh my god, she gets on and sits on her tank with her legs dangling, and I'm like, oh my god, like what? But I think at that point, watching her like do stuff
I
like that.
inspired you, don't lie.
No, you didn't inspire me. But just seeing you like do stuff like that, I think really informed me that like you're about it. You know what I mean? So like you weren't scared to try new things. And I think you were really like an adrenaline junkie at the end of the day. Like it's, you know, like who does that? You know, like especially females. Like girls are usually scared to do anything, you know, like that. And then, you know, so it's, you know, like I think it was just meant to be, just knowing that you did that stuff. I don't know where you got it from, but it was just crazy to see. Like we're just cruising and you doing stuff like that. You know, I think it was cool though, because you know, like I didn't have to be like, hey, you should get into stunt riding. You know,
Yeah.
I think it was cool that you kind of chose that path on your own. And, you know, I think a lot of girls nowadays is kind of like, oh, my boyfriend rides, so I ride too, you know. So it's different, I think, you know, when it comes to that. But as far as like you being at the lot and being there, I think it was a good timing for everything, because when you got into stunt riding and decided you wanted to just do it full time, I think Ratch and all those guys started, you know, stop riding. Like they weren't coming at the lot as much. So it was kind of nice to have you there,
We
you
were
know.
there 6 days a week.
Yeah, exactly. So like you getting hooked to stunt riding and then me loving stunt riding already, I think it was just a perfect deal, because you would call me at work asking what time you know would be off, and it's just cool because like, you know, like to have you wanting to ride made it easier for me to be like, oh yeah, I'll have the bikes loaded. As soon as I get off, we're gonna go straight to the lot. You know
What
what I
was
mean?
cool about our dynamic was it's kind of like the gym, like when you have a gym partner. The days that I didn't feel like riding, you'd be like, no, we're riding. And the days that you didn't feel like riding, I'd be like, no, we're riding.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like we rode all the time.
No, for
Literally.
sure. Yeah, I definitely had a few days where I was just like, dude, it's raining. I did not want to be out there. You know what I mean? Or it's fucking cold. I don't want to be out there.
So who do you think rode more, me or you?
I think you definitely rode more, because there's days where I was out snowboarding and you'd be out freaking riding, cold as fuck, by yourself with Bailey or somebody. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy because, like, you know, you had a connection to that stunt riding, you know, and it showed with your riding, because you were by far one of the best female stunt riders at the time. You know, like you were killing it. And I think it's tough because you didn't realize that. You know what I mean? I seen it.
Yeah.
But you didn't really see it.
Were you ever worried that I'd get better than you?
No. I don't think I was, because I'm competitive, you know what I mean? So like I don't think I would ever compete with you, but like when it comes to being around other males, I get really competitive.
Well, there's no way in hell you would have let me get better than you.
No, and that's the thing. It's like if I didn't let any of the guys get better than me, even though Hollywood and all those guys were on top of their games, they competed XDL, and you know, and all that stuff. I just had certain tricks that I knew I perfected over them. You know what I mean? So, you know, man, we skipped a lot of stuff because there's a lot, you know, especially.
You didn't answer my question though.
What was your question?
What was it like dealing with a girlfriend and her emotions as a stunt rider?
I think dealing with your emotions, it was it wasn't. I mean, it was kind of difficult because, you know, you had a lot of people doubting you. So like for me to like kind of try and not pretend. I just had a lot of faith in you. I knew you would be able to do it. You know what I mean? But like you crying because this person said something, that was tough, you know, because, you know, for me, I don't like seeing you cry, first of all. And then to confront somebody, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to confront somebody over something that small. You know what I mean? So I think encouraging you to keep going and to keep doing what you're doing and, you know, cheering you on. I think that was more of a, I guess, retaliation, I guess, in a way. Like,
Win with success.
yes, exactly. So, like, seeing you progress and then seeing those people that hated on you quit riding was huge.
So you got satisfaction.
Oh, yeah.
From that.
For sure.
Me too. How do you think stunt riding helped our relationship?
I think stunt riding helped our relationship.
I think it literally made it.
It did.
It literally made our relationship.
It built our relationship because through all those hard times, learning and the struggles, I think we both learned that we had to stick together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, just seeing people come and go, we built like a different bond, just sticking together and doing everything as far as like riding together. You know what I mean? So like, you know, I look at it as like when people do like hard things together, they have a greater connection. You know what I mean?
Well,
like
we had the same path in life and same purpose in life and same goal in life.
yeah.
So when you have such a strong focus on something together, and both of you or both of us were in the picture to make that happen, I feel like it just makes a team.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I really always felt like we were a team together, you know,
Yeah,
like we're doing this together, and that's just how it's been through everything in life.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, I mean, you know, just going through the struggles together. I mean, we weren't always, you know, we didn't make good money. You know, we live in paycheck to paycheck at the time. So like, you know, going through all that and still trying to have fun, I think built a lot within us, you know what I mean? And then growing as we're going through it, you know what I mean? So it's a hard thing to explain because, you know, it's crazy how far we've came from to where we're at right now.
Do you think you and I would be where we are today if we didn't stunt ride together?
No, I honestly don't. I honestly don't think our relationship would be where it's at right now. Only because we've learned so much, and not only from just stunt riding, but just like when we got into the accident together. You know what I mean? So like, this was before stunt riding. We got hit by a drunk driver on my motorcycle, and just her taking care of me and I'm taking care of her. We're both crippled, and you know, so I think, you know, just like going through those hard times together and then getting through it is what makes our relationship. You know what I mean? Because, you know, if you can get through those hard times, you can get through anything. You know what I mean?
Well, I also think that what helped was that we were able to travel together doing something we loved.
Yeah.
So we always had each other's back. So
For sure.
I was always looking out for you. You were always looking out for me. There was one time where I remember we set up our Cenas on our helmet.
Yeah.
And I'd spot you and I'd be like, you're good, you're good, you're good, you're good.
Yeah,
because you
no,
can't
for
see
sure.
who's in front of you.
Yeah.
And then I would wheelie and you'd say, you're good, you're good, you're good,
Yeah.
you're good. you got room, and that type of friendship, like translating into a relationship is just like, I mean, it's unbreakable in my opinion.
No, for sure. And I think, just, I don't know.
So how do you feel like the transition has been since you became a father, and how has it changed your writing dynamic with having kids now in the picture?
I think at first, when we first had our Bria, it didn't really hit me. It was just kind of like, damn, I'm just getting into this, and I'm like pretty deep into it, and I really love it. You know what I mean? And at first, it didn't really hit me. I was just kind of like, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go ride. And it helped that you understood because you cared about my riding, that you let me go ride, even though you were probably struggling at home with the kid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, selfishly, I probably shouldn't be out as much as I was when we first had our first one, but I I think transitioning from not having kids to having kids is a hard thing altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So like, no matter what you do, it's just gonna be hard to get used to having so much freedom to now dedicating all your free time to that one person. You know what I mean? So like,
I feel like for me on my end, I feel like I sacrificed my own happiness and identity as a stunt rider so that you can live your life still as a stunt rider.
I
So that
agree
you,
with that.
so that you can have fun. And
Yeah.
I just took one for the team.
No, for sure. I definitely agree with you because at the time, I was still doing stunt shows and
Traveling a
trying to
lot.
traveling a lot, trying to make some extra money. And, I think the transition was good for me. It might not have been good for you, but at the same time, you built a bond with Bria that you never have within, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you didn't, and I think, taking care of that was huge. Like as far as like having kids and having 3 kids and a wife and still riding, it's really fucking hard. I work a full-time job. I come home, I spend all my time that I have with them, and I'll go to ride for at least an hour to get some therapy. You know what I mean? So like, as much as it seems like, I ride a lot or whatnot, I spend a lot of time with my family, and because I want to, the riding thing, yeah, it has slowed down, but I think, I have a good balance because I can try and fit everything in one day. You know what I mean? So I try to get a good schedule to where I can spend some time with the kids, and then we'll bring them to the lot too. So that way they can be there and see what we're doing. You know what I mean? So I think just the transition is, I think, by far, I mean, I wouldn't ask for any better transition as far as stunt riding and still having a full-on family,
So I just have to put it out there for everyone to know how insanely crazy this man is, because I don't know how he has so much energy. He literally wakes up at 4 a.m. and works all day and comes home, goes to the gym, comes home. We load up the bikes and all the kids, and then we go ride. And then we come home and we spend time with the kids for an hour or two after we go ride. And literally, he's so good at balancing everything out. On Sundays, he'll go to church, right after church, he'll go ride, and then after going to ride, he'll go take the kids swimming. And I'm not joking. It's not like he has any time where he's sitting down. He's like running
constantly
from transition to transition of things he's doing to balance his life out. I have no
So,
idea how he does it, but he's just always been like that.
yeah, I mean, if you want to live that lifestyle and you want to still enjoy life without quitting what you're doing to be just a full-time parent, like, I don't think anybody should give up what they love for really anything, you know. I think there is a balance and you can make it work, you know what I mean? You can work things out. And yes, it definitely makes it easier to have a wife that knows how to ride and wants to stunt ride. So, you know, I can't speak for everyone.
Well, let's talk about the point in our relationship when I retired. When I retired and I wasn't riding, and I didn't want to see anything that had to do with motorcycles because I was just like depressed over it. Like I didn't want to see motorcycle shit because I couldn't ride, and I was
Well, that
just
must have been tough because, I mean, to give that up, you know, for as long as you did, it's got to get depressing. You know what I mean? So, like,
how was it for you?
for me, I don't think anything really
Your life didn't change
didn't change much
at all.
You know? But thanks to you.
I hate you.
But that's why, you know, now that you wanted to get back into stunt riding, you get everything you want.
Oh my gosh, he
You know?
spoils the shit out of me. He does the dishes for me. If I say I want to ride, and I'm like, oh,
Yep.
I
All
can't ride.
day,
I have to do the
I'll be
dishes.
in there.
He'll do the dishes for
Yep.
me so I can
I'll
go
clean
ride.
the whole damn house just so she can go ride. But see, that's my
I love
way of
you.
showing her that I care. You know what I mean? So, like, when she wants to ride, I'll make sure everything is done. You know, so it can be done.
So we kind of got into Harleys at like I guess the beginning of the mainstream-ish season of Harley Davidson stunt riding. I mean, at the time, obviously Poland was around for years and years and years, unknown dudes. But can you talk about like how West Coast Connection started transitioning to Harleys from street bikes and how that all went down?
Yeah, I think it was when Hollywood got his first Sportster. And at the time, I was like, well, dang, you can wheelie those things, you know? And seeing him on that, I think inspired me. I was like, man, I got to go get me one of these freaking Harleys. So I went and picked up a Sportster 883. Didn't know nothing about Harleys, you know, probably the smallest motor you can buy on a freaking Harley I got. And
I like that bike.
yeah, it was a cool bike, but it definitely didn't have enough power. So luckily at the time, like, I didn't, you know, we were slowly transitioning into Harleys, and there was a Harley shop down the street that was willing to sponsor all of us. So we took our bikes there.
Shout out to Dead Center.
Yep. Took our bikes there. They did all the paint jobs and got it all set up. They didn't really know much about setups, so they did what they can, and definitely got us set up to where we were able to start doing some shows and whatnot. Took me a while to figure out the Sportster, but I figured it out and got it all set up. Definitely had to throw a bigger sprocket on that thing because it was a
Baby, can you talk in the end of the mic?
yeah. But yeah, and you know, from there on, we started riding Harleys. I think I slowly started getting rid of the sport bikes and started buying more Harley stuff.
I don't even remember the day when we sold all our street bikes.
I think it was after our wedding when after our wedding when we got back from our honeymoon. I think we like took a break and then
Because I got pregnant.
yeah, you got pregnant and we took a break, and I bought like a Dyna at the time I was building, and then, you know, from there on I think we transitioned over. I bought a bagger, and then you ended up selling your sport bike.
How has the Harley Stunt scene changed since back then to now?
I think
'Cause that was around 2017. 2016 we got married and we had Harleys. You had Sportster already. And then that's when you started getting more into Harleys around that time.
yeah, there wasn't.
Actually, I wheelied my first Harley, my first Sportster in 2017
Mhm.
or 16. It was
I'm not sure.
before a kid. It was before.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it was 2016.
Definitely before. Yeah.
Damn, I'm OG.
But yeah, no, I think we started transitioning over around that time. But it's evolved a lot since then because it took a long time to figure out a lot of the stuff on that bike, and figuring out like what needed to be done for oil pan mods and whatnot, you know. So it's hard to get information back to the time when nobody really was doing them, you know what I mean? So
I think it was cool that the West Coast connection kind of like ignited that team Harley stunt riding thing. I don't know. It was unknown dudes doing shows and shit with Harleys. I don't even know.
yeah, I didn't really know much Harley riders at the time. I just knew Jason Poland, and that was it, you know. I looked up to that guy a lot. So like knowing, I think Hollywood actually bought one of his bikes or something. His first Harley was, I think, from him, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, no, just it was cool to switch it all over. I think our whole team was riding Harleys at the time.
I got a hard question for you.
So,
Do you think you're famous?
do I think I'm famous? No, not at all. I think it's just a normal person that just has a bunch of followers, you know. But I think I've been told that I'm famous, but I don't think so.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. I don't know if they're joking or if they're serious.
I feel the same way.
Yeah, so like I don't know if they're just being sarcastic or not, but oh well, I don't give a shit. Guess I'm famous. But no, I don't think so. I think, you know, it's just funny how like social media started, because this is when I think I started my Instagram when it first like came out.
Yeah, I remember
Instagram. And I liked it a lot because Instagram was posting pictures. I'm more like a photo person. I hate reading and doing all that stuff. So like when it comes to like, you know, photos, I was always into Instagram. And that was when before they even came out with like the 15-second videos, you know what I mean? Where you can only post 15 seconds.
Yeah, it was 15-second clips for the longest.
Yeah, exactly. So I've always liked Instagram because of that. You can just scroll and see pictures and whatnot. So I never really knew what the following thing was. Like, who cares, you know?
Yeah.
Until I think
the first viral video.
Yeah, and I think it was your videos going viral. I think our first video that actually went viral was our wedding video.
Yeah.
And that blew up, I think, when we were in Costa Rica.
It was so crazy because I posted my friend Hope's phone footage of us doing our wheelies at our wedding, not thinking anything of it. I would just posted something really quick, just saying how happy I was, not thinking anything of it. And it just blew up.
Yeah.
I knew it would go viral within the bike scene, but it went way further than
I honestly didn't even think it was going to blow up. To me, I was just like, oh, you know.
I knew it would get shared within the bike scene. Like, I knew that would happen.
Yeah.
But I had no clue it would go on ridiculousness.
Yeah.
And
French Montana was like
French Montana.
Yeah.
It was on there?
Yeah, he posted it. He reposted. I swear there's a bunch of like rappers and like famous celebrities that reposted our video.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool.
Crazy.
Super
yeah,
cool
it was insane. It made all the money we spent on our wedding worth it.
Yeah, and we actually think made a little bit of money off of
We did.
some of those videos, but I'm not sure. After that, we kind of blew up on Instagram, and then from then on, I'd get messages basically saying, "Would you rock our stuff?" and stuff like that. So like getting sponsored and getting free stuff was just starting to happen around that time. Yeah, it was starting to snowball, I think, around that time, and it was just cool to see how much just having followers and like just being an influence like change.
It really does help.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, as far as just getting paid and getting sponsors and stuff like that, like it helps a lot, like especially setting up a bike every year or having a different bike all the time. Just having that support is huge. You all know how expensive Harley parts are, so just saving some money on parts is huge. So
how are you feeling about this new transition to this new Get Vertical thing we're doing?
I think it's cool just seeing the appreciation and like the support we're getting from people is huge. At first, I was just like, like nobody's gonna care, but like to see the people, like even if I touch one or two people from that, I think has made my day. You know what I mean? So just like the feedback that I've been getting from people is huge to me, because like just seeing that I could help somebody, even just one person, like, I don't know, man, I can go to sleep. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's like almost like my way of paying back, or giving back, because, like I remember when I first started, you know what I mean? So like to see that people are, I mean, it's hard to message somebody and be like, hey man, you freaking helped me out so much, and really go deep into thanking me for something that didn't take me that much effort to do. You know what I mean? So like to me, that's huge, and I think
so meaningful.
Yeah, it really is, and just from a couple of those messages, and there's way more than that. I've just got back from Four Corners, and you'd be surprised how many people have came up to me and said that they love what we're doing, and let them know what they can do to help. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
So
I'm so happy.
It's just cool to see. You know what I mean? Like I can't even do that on my page alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just writing. So like for this new page and this new thing, we're starting to already have that much momentum. Like that's huge, so
it makes it all worth it, because it's really a lot of work.
No, for sure. And I think there's a lot of work on the back end that a lot of people don't see, which is all coming from you. Thank you. And I think it's good. I think just helping people out and getting that feedback is all I needed to know to keep this thing going. You know what I mean?
All you needed to know that you're going in the right direction.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, seriously, like I
am absolutely loving it, because I feel like it's a good transition from out of retirement into this new mentor type of role for me, because I'm definitely not as good as I used to be before I went on retirement, but I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I am an expert, so I understand what it takes to get where you.
Well, and what's cool is we've got two different riders in here. You have a whole different way that you like to be trained or taught, and I have a different way too. So bringing it together helps a lot. And then you having such good memory when you first started,
because I overthink
compared to
everything.
To me, I can't really remember when I first started or what I had in my head, going through my head. So that's why I let you just do what you do, because you still remember when you first started,
it's
like
crazy
as far as like learning and what you needed to know to learn. You know what I mean?
What makes us a good team, again, a good team is that you coached me.
Yeah.
So everything I know and everything I'm repeating, you actually said to me.
Yeah.
So we're actually on the same page with everything.
No, for
as
sure.
far as how we teach and
Yeah.
and the steps to get to where you need to be. So
For sure.
I think we're a dynamic duo, and we're on to a path of greatness, and I can't wait to help as many people as we can with this whole thing.
No, for sure. Definitely life changing. And I really hope that this, what we're doing, helps you, anyone or you, in the long run. As far as
it's definitely given me purpose for sure,
Yeah.
like a different type of fulfillment and purpose, because stunt riding to me, I loved it because it made me, I grew mentally, but I also progressed every time I rode, and that was some form of growth, personal growth. But it was all about me. It was always all about me, posting look what I can do, look what I can do on social media.
Yeah.
And it was all about personal growth and me. And now this is like service to others. And that type of fulfillment I've never felt before.
Yeah, no, for
You know,
sure.
like it's just a different type of feeling and happiness.
Yeah, like we forget how much knowledge we have, you know. Like I think a lot of people appreciate that because they're like, wait, what the hell? That's what you guys do? You hook your foot? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. A lot of people don't think about that stuff. And we don't think about it either. We just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like even on the mods and shit, like a lot of people think we keep it as a secret, but like it's not a secret. You know what I mean? Like we just do it and we don't post about it. You know what I mean? So like there's a lot of mods and stuff like that that are out there that
It's
people...
word of mouth.
Yeah, exactly. So like, you know, like I see my friend Bubba, he was struggling with his drifting, and then seeing that he still had stops on the inside of his forks, tell him just cut it off, and there you go, you know. Tell him to cut it off. Took him a little bit to get used to, but as soon as he did that,
Locked in.
upped his game because he could get way more turning radius on those, you know. And that's like getting the angle kit for your cars, you know. A lot of people don't know what that is, but
I don't know.
if you're into drifting, you get an angle kit, you can turn your car sideways a lot more, a lot better. But as far as riding goes, you can turn your bars a lot.
Okay, before we wrap it up, what kind of impact do you hope to make on the stunt riding scene? My last question.
I just hope that we can all get along and help each other. You know what I mean? I think there's just a lot of negative stunt riders out there, and I think it just goes from one person to the other, and it just kind of continues. You know what I mean? So like if we can put a positive impact on people and they can just do the same for the next person, I think that's what I would want, you know, from it. Because, you know, at the end of the day, like it's just seeing each other help, like seeing other people help each other out is huge, you know. But when you see a negative person say something negative to another person, that doesn't help any of this out. You know what I mean? And it's almost just like you kind of...
It's gatekeeping.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of like are ruining it for the scene. You know what I mean? So like you thinking you're too good to be answering to this person that's brand new and being rude to that person isn't helping any of us out. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's what I want to see. You know,
I love that.
I think just a positive impact. You know, just seeing a positive change in the scene. Honestly, is what I want. Just come together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.